changes that consumers have gone through that have actually created these really dramatic shifts in how they buy, which obviously has dramatic implications to what it means to develop and nurture either a legacy brand or a new brand. And I'm going to sort of work some of that material when I come out to your event. And that's sort of how I work. I don't, a lot of people will write the book and then go speak about the book. I have this weird thing where I tend to speak and work on the presentation and update it and change it all the time. I try and have it that every year it's 100% new.
Right.
And then I take it from there. I kind of push the material and work the material and change it. And then at one point I'm like, oh, here's the book. And then I go off and I write the book. So I'm sort of at the tail end of feeling like there's a book here.
So I have to ask you, because I've been in business myself for 25 years. I know you're a super busy guy. You're, the top of your game. The go-to guy for Google is, as described in your bio. In addition, obviously, to being recognized internationally as, a top marketer. How on earth do you ever find any time to write a book?
There's a question I have.
Thank you.
Look, when you're a writer, and that's really what I love to do, I love to write. It would be like me asking you, like, you're really busy. When do you have time to breathe and drink water and things like that? Like, it's not really one of those things where I have to, like, clear the schedule and I need my private room to sit in and contemplate. And,
right.
when I wrote my past 2 books, what I think most surprised people who are connected to my content is the fact that I didn't stop blogging any single day. I didn't miss one single podcast. I hopefully didn't miss too many client meetings or speaking events. I just added it into my schedule, it can be insane. It can be a bit crazy, but I love to write. So it was almost like, it'd be like me saying, like, when do you find time to watch all these great movies? It's like you want to watch them. You make time for it.
Right. And I suppose if you're a movie critic, that's kind of a dumb question, just like if you're a writer. Yeah.
It's not a dumb question. It's a ton of work, and it has to be taken really sort of serious approach.
So just help me understand, though, a little bit, because I fashion myself as a bit of a communicator, although I don't write nearly as much as I'd like to. And I'm not that great of a writer. I'm okay at passable. Like, Sean allows some of my blog posts to go up on the blog, but
that would be after the drinking, though.
That's right. Yeah, there's going to be a game to it, but no. So do you block time in your week specifically to hunker down, or do you just does it just happen?
Yeah, it's an exhaust valve, and I think what I'm doing is I'm constant. I think that the most important thing isn't the writing part. I think the hard part is the curating and reading part.
Right.
And so that's the real time consumption. It's like I'm curating and reading and thinking and taking notes. And what notebook was that in? Did I email that to myself? Did I save that thing in Pocket? What was it? And then at one point, it could be really early morning. It could be later in the evening. There's just this exhaust valve that sort of, and then I'm like, I have to write about this, or I need to send an email to so-and-so and see if they'll come on my podcast and be a guest. I don't have that, like, I don't block it in the calendar. I don't set time aside for it. I wish I was, to be honest. Like, I wish I had a little bit of that pedigree that people like Seth Godin have, where it's like, he probably has, I don't even know, but he probably has, months, maybe even years of blog posts just set in his blogging platform that just curls out as he wants.
Sounds like Mike Vardy.
Or a robot, maybe a robot.
No, I know. I do know him. I'm fortunate enough to call him a friend, so I know it's actually him doing that. Also, it's a different type of writing. I tend to write long, and I know I live in a TLDR world, but I just believe the content that I'm doing on 6 Pixels is more for people who want to spend time with something related to how to make brand more relevant, something connected to what's happening in the modern world that I should be paying attention to as someone who might be a steward at some form or another to a brand.
Right.
And it's not like I'm like this important teacher with my tweed jacket saying you have to do your homework and eat your broccoli, but it kind of is that. It kind of is that I want people to spend time and I want them to think about it. We live in a world where we're flicking through news feeds, we're looking at 140K characters, and everyone thinks they know everything because they read a tweet, saw a headline, maybe clicked on an article, maybe saved it, probably didn't read it or spend any time, and worse, didn't spend any time thinking about it. So to me, when I'm reading, I'm researching, and when I'm writing, I'm teaching. And that's something I stole from Susan Orleans, who's a very well-known creative nonfiction writer, and I thought that line was just exactly brilliant. So I don't think it's about when you write or how long you write or if you're a good writer or a bad writer. I think it's impossible to write if you're not doing the reading, researching part of it.
Right, right.
Now, I'm in the midst of writing my own book right now, and I think the biggest thing that I'm facing as a problem is that things constantly change. I teach high school students and teachers and administrators how to use social media, so the book is oriented around that. I've discovered it's become a little less of a book, more of a manual. But the industry itself, the world of social media is constantly changing. The tools, some of the concepts remain the same, but there's so much that changes on such a regular basis. How do you deal with that?
I'm pretty upfront about it. I was in publishing long before the internet existed. I used to publish magazines, and I was a writer for again, long before there was the internet. And I in that world, when you wrote a book, it was like, okay, that's the seminal thing that Mitch Joel has put out, and forevermore, when we think about Mitch Joel, we think about these 1, 2, 3, 10 books, and that's his sort of legacy. But blogging and the dynamics of just social media and publishing, I think, inverted that model a little bit. So I have a caveat. I caveat the books by saying, by the time you read this, the stuff I'm talking about may be gone. Some of the stuff may be much bigger. Some of the stuff may be much smaller. Most of it will be acquired. Some of it probably won't even work. But underneath it is a philosophy, a way to think. And so if I'm talking with a complete excitement about MySpace, and now we're in the Facebook world, or I'm talking with complete excitement about a Meerkat, and now we're in the Snapchat world. Pardon that, I was in the moment and following along, but with that, there's something underneath it that might be valuable. So like in a Meerkat Snapchat world, what I'm trying to say is there's something happening around image, mobile first, social, and live.
Right.
And so if you can take that and put aside what brand I'm talking about, because now it's not cool and no one's using it, there still is probably something there to substantiate the reason I spend time writing it and the reason why I want somebody to read it and connect to it. But yes, if you're writing like right now a book on virtual reality and augmented reality, like it's completely at a nascent stage that's going to evolve super rapidly, I would probably shy away from brands and talk more about the space and why I think it's the next platform. And
less about Oculus, more about VR?
Yeah, less about Oculus, more about what's the difference between VR and AR. What are the limitations that we're currently seeing in it? What are the opportunities we're seeing in it? What that might look like. And again, it's a sort of asterisk where you're telling people this is very present, but with a future mindset that will probably be looked upon and laughed at, but still, in the moment, is there value for it?
I think you touched on the macro trend of people just kind of skimming over social media. And then frankly, one of my biggest complaints about social media is that it's turned us into this 140 character world. So much good comes out of that because we can get information out quickly and we can be disseminated fast. But then we, like you mentioned earlier, people just, they read the post, they read the headline, they don't even open the link, much less read the link, much less give it any critical thought whatsoever. And so we see a lot of, misinformation that gets shared and people making comments that are completely unrelated to the article.
The clickbait gets me and away I go.
I say that as a criticism, having also done it myself. And so in many ways, I think this is a social trend, and it makes sort of the long form writing. What did they say about Stephen Hawking's book? The most purchased yet not actually read book in history, right? And so is that where we're going as culture? Like, I can put your books on my shelf and press my friends with them, but I won't actually read them, right?
But that's the sort of souvenir artifact of society. I think people did that with albums, and I think people did that with their DVD collections, and I think people did that with, and you can just go back, and it was like a thing. You came into your house, and it's like you could judge a person by their collection of artifacts, whether it's books, albums, CDs, tapes, DVDs. The running joke that I have is like the problem with all this is that if I ever do get like hit by a car and I got rid of my unconscious, like please don't look at my playlist because the truth is really, it's it's a hodgepodge, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm not proud of it. It's just I don't judge. Sarah Silverman says I don't judge my ear holes, but like it's not pretty. It's not what I would want, like the image to be in terms of like.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, trust me, Wham would be good.
Put that in your eulogy.
Yeah. No. So it is. I don't think we can generalize anymore, and that's really what I think about when people talk to me about long form versus short form. Do you spend time with content or not? I think the people who are like, I call myself an infovore. I'm always on the hunt for like info and more things. That there's obviously an audience that's similar to me because they're obviously listening to my podcast, they're reading a blog, they're reading books, and that's great. And they're not telling me to slow down. I don't notice a waning. If anything, I notice that the platform is growing more and more. And so the difference for me is that I'm just focusing on them. I'm not trying to get everybody to pay attention to me. And it's probably to my detriment. I know a lot of my peers who do it so well, and they get millions of followers, and they've got, they're shooting videos all the time and doing all those things. It's also like knowing what your limitations are and what you're comfortable with. I love writing. I love putting words down. I love it. I love opening up my MacBook Air. I love opening up my writing software. I love what am I going to write about. I love looking at my notes. I love my podcast. I love having conversations like this with people. I love the fact that I can, reach out to someone like a Morgan Spurlock and say, I want you on my show, that they'll grace you with an hour as if you're sitting in a cafe. I'm just able to completely pick that individual's brain about all of the areas that I'm most interested in. It's so selfish. The only non-selfish act is that I hit publish and I pushed it out there for the world to see. And so I just hope that the people who want that type of stuff either stick with it, or if they're not even sticking with it, when someone asks them, like, where's the quality or where's the beef, they'll hopefully refer them over to 6 Pixels of Separation or tell them to check out things that, that Joel's doing. And, I speak and I'm out there. I do radio in the morning sometimes. And I just look at it like I'm trying to distribute my content in different formats. But my focus is text and audio right now. I'm not strong in video, and I was never that sort of photo guy. So, yeah, well, nice. I got a face for audio.
Me too.
I'm not great at Instagram. I'm always apologetic about how bad I am there. YouTube, I'm great at subscribing to channels and watching them. I'm not great at being a participatory individual. It's just the nature of who I am. So when you can know that about yourself, your brand, the people you work with, I think it alleviates a lot of the stress. Like, I love Snapchat. I think it's really interesting and cool, and I love the channels, and I actually love the usability. I love the swiping and the ups and downs, and I love the lack of findability. I like the fact that you have to, the lack of discovery, I like the fact you have to sort of know who the person is and follow them. I just don't want to shoot video of me at Starbucks in the morning, or me wandering the streets, or me, I'm not that type of guy. I want my content to speak, not my face.
Right.
It's just who I am.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the.
Before you go forward.
Yeah.
Kate Turkovac is here. Hi, Kate.
Oh.
Well, Kate, come in. I haven't seen Kate in forever. I love Kate.
It's amazing who tunes in, and hi, Kate. For those of you who are listening on the podcast, just a reminder that we record on Blab, so the entire thing is completely unpredictable.
Including Kate just showing up like this.
Yeah, well, and then once in a while we'll get one of them to jump into the conversation, and then,
I want Kate. Vote for Kate. Bring her in.
It goes sideways, and it becomes a real conversation after that.
I've unlocked the seat if you'd like to join the conversation, Kate.
Come on in.
On a quick question, though, and maybe it's not a quick question, but it's been interesting watching the corporate world and its relationship with social media unfold. There was definitely early adopters who jumped right in there, took advantage of what was happening in the early days. But there was also, a cadre of latecomers that were just wanted to avoid this thing and just kind of hoped maybe it would go away. And you're a guy who works with a lot of companies, and obviously you're working with a lot of the sort of cutting edge ones and more progressive ones, but WPP is now the parent company of your business. And so have we finally arrived? I mean, can we all say now that social media is important, or is there still work to do on the corporate side?
I don't know how to answer that. I mean, we're not a social media agency. We are a marketing agency that really always believed that digital can help brands reach an audience in a more efficient, effective, direct, and humane way.
Right.
That's it. I mean, the technologies have floated and changed a lot over. I've been doing this agency since 2002, been blogging since 2013, podcasting too. So I've seen a lot of changes, and which is normal. I'm excited about that. I love them as much as the next person. WPP is a large multi-conglomerate, multinational holding company. Yeah. Operates massive agencies like JWT and Young Rubicam, Ogilvy. Their mandate is to figure out what's next. The chairman and founder, Sir Martin Sorrell, is very clear about cannibalization. He's investing in companies that are going to cannibalize the companies he already owns, and his theory is, I would rather eat my own children than if someone else eats my children. As graphic as that is.
Does he characterize it exactly that way?
No, that's basically it. And good for him. So I think I love being a part of something like that because it affords me scale and it affords me access that we couldn't do as an independent shop, specifically in Canada, which is the 9th or 10th largest advertising sized industry in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's this is $1 trillion business, and they need to grow, and they need to report to Wall Street. And WPP is not going to grow if they win the next Walmart. They're going to grow through acquisitions, and just over the years, they've acquired to do to reach 40 to 60 of these a year. And I'm flattered, thank you, but I was one of 50 that year in 2014.
Yeah.
I think part of it is he recognizes the cannibalization. He knows the disruption. He sees the marketplace. Clients want more specificity when it comes to the types of programs they're running. And obviously we were bought because we were an asset. And so it's hard to say, has it arrived? What's social media? I always simplify it. I just said, social media allows anybody, an individual, you and I, or a brand or business, to have an idea and to publish that idea in text, images, audio, and video, short form or long form, instantly and for free to the world.
Right.
I say that's it, but that's quite a bit. And every other component of it is just the nuance. Is it only a picture, or is it a picture in a 60-second video? Is it 140 characters, or is it like a post on HuffPo? Or is it your own blog? Or is it a podcast? Or are you going to do streaming? Or are you going to do Blab? I mean, all of those are nuances of audience and segmentation and where people are going. But overall, that concept of publish button, has it arrived? I think it arrived when blogging became very popular, shortly after 2004-ish, I guess, or 2005. So I don't say that going any other way. Why would any business or individual not want to build more direct relationships with friends and or customers? I just don't know why anybody would want that.
Well, and I just to sort of run through the history a little bit. When Social Media Camp started in 2010, our keynote speakers the first year, amongst our keynote speakers the first year, was Scott Stratton. And I don't know if you know Scott. Certainly you've heard of him. And I know he lives.
You're just texting, literally. So
he lives close by. Anyway, the mantra in 2010, and I still hear people say it today, and I don't think it's as true today as it was in 2010. Was don't worry about it. It's happening. It's it's online. It's get out there. Just put it out there. See what happens. And more or less, right? Raw social media. And there was a big concern around that whole thing. And I actually had a meeting the other day with a corporate leader locally here. And he believed this 2010 mantra, and it didn't work for them. And then so social media is kind of just, it's done. It's out the window. And what I said to him was, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, because I say this a lot and I hate being wrong. I said to him, I said, no, actually, what social media is it's a way to connect directly with people, like you talked about, but it's also the most measurable form of marketing that exists in the world today. And I don't know, I put it ahead of social media, ahead of search engine marketing, because search engine marketing, you only get so much information about the people that are clicking, but social media, you have a mountain of data, and maybe you're not using it, maybe you are, but ultimately, would you agree with me that it's the most measurable form of marketing that exists today, or am I being coy?
I think it's highly measurable.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the most. It's hard for me to say because it depends what you're doing with it.
Right.
What I would say is that if you go back to 2010 and what Scott was saying, and Scott's actually like a prodigy for that model. It's like tinfoil up the windows and like sit in the basement and just get hundreds of thousands of people to follow you on Twitter. And he did it like so well. Like he saw this little opening and he just, like a little rabbit that he is, jumped in there and ran for it. And
brilliant, yeah.
It was a land grab. And there was a land grab on different platforms. There was a land grab in blogging, land grab in podcasting, land grab on Facebook, Twitter. There's a land grab going on right now on Snapchat. It happens, and that's great. On the other side of it, though, there were people like me and others like me who I think had more of a pedigree in media and had understood the media and know what media is. And I actually didn't run at it as a land grab. I ran at it out of respect for the publish button. So I wasn't tweeting and just trying to get as many followers as possible. I was actually trying to, if I was going to even waste 140 characters of your time, I wanted it to really, really count. I wanted it to be something of value, to drive you somewhere that might make you better. And it's just a slower, harder grind. And I'm just one of those people that's just in my common nature to do that. So even I could have blogged about anything. Hey, check out this new Blab I'm on with the guy that blah, 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 and I would never do that. Like I actually wanted to put every day something thoughtful, really powerful. Not to say Scott doesn't. His tweets were great, but there was a difference between the land grab people and the people that thought, wow, this is an amazing way to publish, and I want to slowly and dutifully build my. So in the early days, like, I would get into a ton of trouble to be like, oh, you have 20,000 followers, but you only follow 50 people on Twitter, and I get a lot of that. And Scott would just follow to get the follow backs, and I'd be like, is that smart? Am I smart? I don't know. And sure enough, now Scott's busy trying to unfollow all these people because it can be the landscape shifted and the landscape changed.
Yeah.
The other component of it that sort of moves us away from land grab / respect for the publish button is paid. When I sit down with real clients today, they don't talk about social the way we're talking about it now. It's purely a paid media channel now.
Right.
They have to pay to get enough people to follow them. They have to pay to not get throttled on the content. If you talk about things that are happening in the media today with respect to Instagram and the changing of the feed and the algorithm, that is going to throttle brand content. And obviously, Instagram owned by Facebook will initiate the same types of models that Facebook has been superiorly successful at capitalizing and monetizing on. Is it the most measurable to lead up to the questions? I don't know. I think that, as an example, Facebook knows more about the people I'm advertising to than I actually get a chance to know.
Right.
So I think that the data, you're right, is there somewhere, but it's not as accessible to me as the agency or the brand as it probably is to the platform.
Right.
There are intermediaries that have access to the full fire hydrant pipe, but then again, that becomes costly and you start heading down that road. And again, are you trying to build things where people go from Facebook to your own platform, and your platform, you're capturing their email and you're nurturing them there? That's very different than I'm just using social as a targeting. I'm using social as a customer service channel. I'm using, Instagram as a way to launch new products. Everyone has a different way to use the platforms too, which makes it quite agnostic.
Right.
So I think it's highly measurable. Of course I do. It's the reason I love this space. There's no doubt about it. I just wouldn't be comfortable saying social media is the most measurable because I think it depends on what you're doing.
Right.
You had mentioned something earlier. You'd said that we're a marketing agency, not a social media agency. Do you see a day when the two are just kind of one and the same?
No, not at all. No, the reason I say that is because so what happened with me in my somewhat ascent, although I look at what I'm doing and it's like, it's nothing compared to some of my peers and what they've accomplished in sort of half the time I have. I just looked at it's strange. Like we became known as this type of agency only because we had a really popular blog and podcast. But the actual work we were doing was like real heavy bench strength and strategy, building platforms, building sites, applications, online advertising, direct digital, email, search. Social was and is a component of it. We absolutely do that work. We understand the channels, we do them, but it's one of many advertising channels, and advertising is just one component, small, large component of what we do. Right? What do? We do transformation, which basically means we help organizations figure out internally how to be more digitally savvy, digital first, like how to think like it before they say to their customers and do it. We do marketing innovation, which is helping them create products and services that are digitally driven, that help their customers connect sites, apps, platforms, social engagements, etc. And then we do transactions, which are, it might be a social media campaign, it might be a YouTube thing, it might be a Facebook ad, and it's not a hierarchy, it's just there's a whole bunch of things that happen before you want to tell people this exists. And so for me, advertising has always been a component of marketing. Unfortunately, until digital, it was the 800-pound gorilla. But because of digital, we're seeing that shift where marketing, the 4 Ps, product, price, promotion, place, are things that agencies and brands really can affect. And the advertising component of it, which falls into the promotions, is one lever that you're going to hopefully pull and be very smart about. And it's just a different philosophy than an ad agency that says we do social, because we're not an ad agency, we're a marketing agency.
Right. So I want to frame this question a little bit. When Social Media Camp started in 2010, it was mostly people who were local, certainly local British Columbia. Everybody came out to see Scott Stratton, and here, and it was exciting. We had a full house. It was a great first year. But most of the people in attendance were small business owners, nonprofits. 2010, we'd just come out of the recession. People were looking for a cheap way to kind of build a following, get the message out that didn't cost a lot of money, and social media was free, right? So there was a lot of interest around that. We're excited to have you come to Social Media Camp because what we've seen over the last several years is we get a lot more interest from corporations attending. Last year we had a speaker from Oracle. We have a speaker from HubSpot this year. There's a lot of corporate interest in Social Media Camp, which is great, and we're watching the evolution happen. But it's also imperative to me as kind of the one of the, what's the word, Sean? Visionaries?
Or victims of organization.
Organizers.
Behind it to make this event relevant to everyone, and we've taken great strides to do that. Sean leads up our coaching program for small business owners and nonprofits that need some coaching. We have lots of content for small business owners and nonprofits as well. And I like the fact that we bring in people from government and people from education and people, because we're all communicators. We're all communicating, right? And so we cross every sector, we cross every platform. You're mostly speaking to a corporate crowd, I would presume most of the time, right? And that's where most of your background is. So I wonder if you could sort of say a couple of words around the principles and some of the things you talk about that, and that you'll be talking about in your 2016 keynote that will also appeal. We know that the corporate people will be tuning in with great interest, but for the people who are mom and pop shop or run a little marketing agency, what's the great wisdom that they can expect from Mitch Joel?
No pressure.
I want to be a journalist.
Well, yeah.
That's very much an attitude of, they'll get what they get.
Whatever you get, yeah.
I'll figure it out on the plane. So, one is I spend a lot of time speaking to companies, that's true. But the companies I speak to are the whole swath. It's B2B, it's B2C, it's small, medium, large. And, when I do events, whether it's for Google or associations, it's a real hodgepodge. And over 10 plus years, which I can't believe, of speaking professionally, I don't think it matters. Like, what's the difference between a corporate crowd versus like a bunch of students? It doesn't really change. And I think that sometimes it upsets people, but I think it's a really good thing. And it's a good thing because I don't know what it's like to be a student right now. And I actually don't know what it's like to be a small business owner. It's really hard because that's not the world I'm in. But what I can do is be the person to show them the things that I see. And that's what I'm doing. Right? So whenever I come, wherever I'm going to, I'm just going to show you the things that I'm currently seeing. And what I'm currently seeing are things that the world is taking for granted as if it's a given. And I don't think any business person or any student or any government official really understands that when we just accept that as is, we dismiss the fact that it fundamentally changes how they actually engage with our brand and how they purchase from us. So a real simple example is Netflix. We all have Netflix or Crave or Show Me or whatever it is you're using. And we watch it and we love it, and we completely take for granted the fact that, like, usually on a Friday night after dinner, you get in your car and go to Blockbuster, and you'd go up and down these aisles, and there would be nothing in, and you'd go home without a movie. And then you'd go to like HMV or wherever, and you'd buy like a Blu-ray or a DVD.
Yeah.
And now I'm sure everybody on this Blab and anybody listening to this in the future was in their bed last night looking at Netflix going like, I have no idea what to watch. There's so much stuff here. Like, you had analysis paralysis. And that is a complete shift in consumer behavior. But even more dramatically is how you paid for that shift.
Right.
You're paying $14 a month, whatever it is. And you're actually not paying to have any form of ownership. You're paying for access to a library. And that is a very new and different model. And if you're in a business where you're selling a product or service, and you're having all of your consumers get way more comfortable with that type of purchase. So now I'm doing it also on Apple Music. Now I'm doing it on Spotify. Next I'm going to do it on this. Next I'm going to do it on that. You have to be able to stop and realize that that it's going to become amazingly habitual to that idea. What are you missing?
Right.
What's your opportunity to add on services, add on products, digitally sell them something, connect to them in a world where they've now really embraced that as one very minor example of many things I'll show you. And the reason I talk about this is because everybody coming out to your event fundamentally believes that these changes are huge and they've dramatically changed the world forever. And the crux of what I'm going to talk about is no. It's actually a bunch of very small, nuanced things,
right,
but they have fundamentally changed how people buy. And that's the thing you have to pay way closer attention to. And I'm going to just put a magnifying glass on a myriad of things that are exactly like that and how dramatic it's changed who we are.
Well, I'm super looking forward to it. It's not, I mean, every year we bring in different thought leaders, and but I don't think we've ever brought anybody in who, has a story like yours. So, we're super excited to have you. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I'm sure there'll be pearls of wisdom aplenty for everybody. So it's going to be awesome.
This year we've actually got a C-suite coach who focuses on the C-suite level of people who are going to attend the camp and are looking for that extra little hand holding throughout the sessions.
Yeah.
So I mean we're recognizing the question I have, and I mean we still face it. Are you still, even at this age where everybody is aware that social media is a space where businesses, corporations, etc. should be, are you still seeing any pushback from those who just don't want to get into that space, but they're being told they have to, but they really don't want to?
I don't know if pushback is the word. I think the people who've done it really believe it's a paid channel. I'm very dismayed by that because I think that they have completely failed to really spend the time understanding a lot of the channels and how they work and how content flows through them. And it's interesting. In my world, I'm super excited about what digital offers. I'm super excited about how long and wide the runway is. And I always say, like, how can I not be employable? All I do is talk about things that are happening now or in the future in terms of technology and what they mean to business. There's always something that's coming. I could talk about drones. I could talk about robotics. I could talk about augmented reality, virtual reality, bots that are going to be coming soon. Shopify and the sort of uncoupling of the buy button. But The thing that I'm not that bullish on, that actually has to be sad, is social media. Is the fact that I don't want these businesses to believe that it's only a paid channel. I just don't. And so my passion for coming all the way out there and talking to audiences is to not believe that. To not believe that just because Facebook is charging you for all these things, that it's only a paid channel. I think there's still an opportunity to listen, to learn, to launch, to understand, to test, to provoke, to engage. That's way more powerful than most people think. I think I just completely turned him off because he left, but that's okay.
I'm sure he had a follow-up question.
Yeah, that was terrible.
We just lost Sean. Oh, there he is. He's back. Outstanding.
What's it like in the future?
I was having FOMO in like seconds. It was this, yes, yeah.
You're coming in a little fuzzy, Sean.
No, that's just Thursday.
So I didn't prepare any follow-up question to what Mitch just said because you were going to have one.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I'm seeing it. It's still in every level. I especially see it in where I am now in teaching in schools, because there's been this constant flow of social media is bad, social media is this, social media is that, and trying to get the educators and the administrators on board with it. The kids are on board with it. Kids are always on board.
Look, it would be really hard. Like the examples I would use is it's really hard to go to my literary agent or my book publisher and say, I have an idea. I want to write a book about like how you really got to get on board with this social media thing. It's like, dude, there's like 2 billion people on Facebook
doing the same thing. Yeah,
you've got 500 million people on Instagram. You've got, I mean, the other thing is it's funny that we're talking about this. Is for a long time I used to have to do the hardest job, which is I used to have to convince people why they need a website. Trust me, this internet's really got to do something. You got to stick with me on this. And
been there.
Yeah, me too.
So I was doing that, in the late '90s, and it was really, really hard. And when we had any modicum of success at Twist Image, which became Urim last year, I told my business partners, and even when we'd sit down with clients, I said, look, if we're in this room because I need to convince you that this is important, we're definitely the wrong people to be talking to. Mm-hmm. We're the people you come to when you're like, I really need a big delta. I need to take this from where we are either nascent or non-existent and turn this into a powerhouse within my organization. I need Urim. That's what I need. That's always been our brand. It's always been our positioning. It's always been the work that we've really, really done. So, Sean, if you're telling me that you're still encountering people who don't, it's like, I can't convince you that we have color TV, that we have 4K, that we have 3D IMAX, that we have, and I get this all the time. People say to me, like, I mean, even to this day, people will be like, oh, I don't need a smartphone. And I'm like, okay. People like right now for me, the big thing is augmented reality and virtual reality. I know it's like a bandwagon thing to do, but for 4 years, I've been demoing this stuff in pretty advanced stages and then to where it's been highly commercialized at this point. And we still have a long way to go. That has nothing to do with why I'm so bullish on that. I'm so bullish on that because when I tried it, to me, it lit me up more than when I saw the first web browser. And I literally saw the first web browser and downloaded Mosaic off of the university internet connection where I live in Montreal. So, but when something does that, and when I go to the TED conference every year in Vancouver, and they built the Void, which is like this crazy virtual reality experience that I think they're building it out in Iowa or something. If you all go on YouTube and do a search for the Void to watch the demo. Yeah. And I'm in line, you couldn't even get in, but I reserved early, and I'm watching people like Tony Hsieh from Zappos and the head of these companies walk out of there and just be like, that was the greatest thing I've ever experienced. I can't believe that we can do this. And I'm perpetually seeing this happen. So I'm not in the business when people say all the time, like, oh, virtual reality, it's not coming, or automated cars, right? I was in a Google car driving on the streets of Phoenix 3 years ago, and I was terrified to go into it. And when I came out of the car, my only reaction was, I hope I never have to drive with another human being in the driver's seat again. Because it was so much superior to anything a human could do. It could just see more. It just knew so much more about the environment than a human who might be a little bit tired or not be paying attention, et cetera, et cetera.
Its spatial awareness is way, way better.
Well, it's seeing meters out. You know, you're seeing nothing. You're seeing like above, just past the hood. And this car is seeing literally miles out what's happening. People don't understand the frame of what it's capturing. But my point is that until you try it and do it, you can't say it's not for me or I don't believe in it. I just don't. You know, some people, I'm not going to get a smartphone. I can't type on glass. Okay.
So let me challenge you on that then, Mitch. I think every technology kind of has, well, and maybe not every technology, but many technologies have a novelty phase and then a practical phase, right? And I would say in social media, we're far beyond the novelty phase and way into the practical phase. In the early days of the web, you could say, I don't need to have a website. I could, I've survived in business for a long, long time, and but it'd be a novelty, and people would be able, it'd be another thing, and I'd be the guy that had, my website address up on my billboard, when my competitor doesn't, right? And so it started out as a bit of a novelty, and nowadays, if you have a business and you don't have a website or you don't have a Facebook page or whatever, you're just doing it wrong. Yeah, like it'd be or you haven't registered your business with Google, so no one can find you on a map. It's very, there's some basic things. And it's funny, actually, if I ever write a book, I think it'll be the basic things you need to do as a business, right? And it'll be irrelevant 3 weeks later. So anyway, but ultimately, to my point, I feel like VR is still very much in the novelty phase, and I'm not sure how long this transition is going to be to the practical phase. And I think it's coming, but do you see it coming in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or next year?
Paul, have you tried it, Paul?
I have. And
what did you try? What did you try?
I tried the Oculus. There was actually at TEDx in Victoria, they had one, and it was a virtual reality of the theater, and it was really neat. And I know, there's a cruise line down in the States that has set up virtual tours. You go to the travel agency, there are different locations, and you can try it out. And so there is a practical component to it.
Yeah. So let me give you just my 2 quick experiences, and maybe that'll, if you haven't tried it or you're sort of on the fence with it. One is, you're right. We're in the zone of parlor tricks right now. This is like the old, they showed the first film of the train coming, and everyone ran out of the theater because they thought there was an actual train there. They'd never seen a movie theater before in the 18, whatever it was. And it's sort of that, where it's like this sort of terrifying parlor trick to see these things. And it's very true. And I think we're at right now a world of 360-degree video more than anything else. But the 2 experiences that I had were very transformative. One was the New York Times one, which was the Syrian refugee camp, which is Google Cardboard.
Right.
So this was transformative from a technological point of view. It's a piece of cardboard. It comes flat with your New York Times. You click it open. It's obvious. What do I do? How does this work? You slide your iPhone in, your Android device, and it's there. So that first thing of the technology already exists in my pocket.
Right.
That's pretty hard. That was pretty hardcore. That really sort of made me go, wow.
Yeah.
What was the content? So I turn on this content, and it's a Syrian refugee camp. If I said to you all, what do you think the experience is? It's dusty, and it's sad, and there's these tents all dilapidated, and wind's flapping, and there's no food. Probably right. So imagine that. Now you put on these VR goggles, and you've got your headphones in, so you can really hear the sounds of it. You hear the wind blowing, you hear the sand, and all of the kids from the village come up to you. And you just are looking at these kids and their feet and their hands, and you're close. And man, that is not 360-degree video. That is, you are just you're like, where's my wallet? Because I want to, 1, make sure the kids didn't steal it, and 2, give them money. It felt like you are, there's nothing I can say to anybody until you do this experience. The other one, I was at a Google event, and Google Cardboard as well, and we were doing a field trip, and it was for schools, but they were demoing it for us adults. And you sit on this little log, and you put it on, and suddenly you're in the Amazon rainforest. And I don't mean VR, like animated. I mean high def video. earbuds in, I could hear the rain going off of the forest, I can hear the leaves, you could practically smell it. It was so immersive. And suddenly inside my earbuds, you hear the teacher going, welcome class, you're in the Amazon rainforest. To your right, you'll notice the blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, the bug, where's the bug? Let me see the bug. And like, you know, if I can't find it, there's like a little arrow that starts pointing where it is, and you see it. And when you see it and you hold it, it like lights up, like there's the bug. And she'll say, can you see it, class? And you're like, yeah, I totally see it, you know? If you have any questions, you can raise your hand.
Wow.
They're able to track all of that. So they're able to see, the teacher can see on their iPad or their tablet, how long did it take Paul to find the bug compared to Sean? Were they able to, did they keep their attention there? Yeah. That's the other thing, right? It's like, your attention, is it there or is it not there? You know, you see something like looking everywhere, it's like, no, class, pay attention, I'm trying to show you. And it made me realize that, and again, I've seen a huge major business applications since that evolution of that version of virtual reality.
Wow.
Augmented reality for sure, and what they're doing with HoloLens and Meta and stuff like that. And there was no doubt, there's no doubt to me that this is the next platform. That this Blab will take place by all of us seeing each other, not just on these two-dimensional screens, being with each other in a room and just talking and like this. And it will be hard to figure out if the person is sitting right next to you or if the person is digitally sitting right next to you, right? And it's hard for people to wrap their head around. Sometimes it's hard for me to explain or talk about how long. It's sort of here. I mean, we need to get better CPU, better speed, better connectivity, file size down, more adoption, more people developing. The real challenges with this are I think, primarily technological and content-based. The content problems are, right now you can't really, there's no user interface. Now, I want that. Like, what do you do? Like, what is the interface for clicking? What is the interface for look left? So, you know, now we're starting to discover that a lot of it is sound-based, you know, so there's a great app called Verse, VRSE, very famous video music producer, by Milk. He's on U2 and Kanye and all these videos. And he has a video with U2 and a bunch of people singing the song. And it's audio cues. Like, you can hear it. There's something going on here. Like, I can hear it. And you move because of the audio cues you're getting. And that, from like a usability development standpoint, being a marketing guy, is super fascinating to me. So you're right. I don't think it's like today or tomorrow, but you can use it today or tomorrow. You can do 360-degree videos. You can post them on YouTube. You can post them on Facebook. And by the way, because of the way the algorithms are working today, if you post them on YouTube or Facebook, you're actually killing it at SEO because they're putting that stuff first because they want people to see that stuff. So it's like free hit. Yeah, it may cost you more to develop 360-degree video, but if you do, odds of you getting it seen by a lot of people organically are really, really high.
Well, and this is the one that I'm really fascinated with right now is the Omni, and the ability now to not only just have the VR experience, but have the mobility of the VR experience.
Yeah.
And I'm having watched a couple of videos on how it works, and all I could see was the potential of it. I mean, I'm a veteran, so the military application alone is
already. You know, at the military level, this is deployed.
Old school. It's old school stuff.
Yeah, this is how they're training. This is how they're working. It's how they're operating.
But it's, you know, having seen a kind of interactive video when I was still in, this is so different. Is you're actually moving. You're actually mobile in that space. But to see it in its potential of everything from, you know, you're a real estate person, you literally feel yourself walking through a property, or you're doing a tour of a facility. You know, you're doing due diligence by doing the tour of the facility.
No, I'll give you sort of a next gen example. You know, one is thank you for your service. It's pretty cool. I know you're a veteran, so that's awesome. So I was just in New York doing an event for Bright, which is out of Columbia School. And because I was there, I went to see my family at WPP and JWT. And we did a half-day WPP digital day on virtual reality, augmented reality. We had one of the people from Ogilvy Health showing some of the medical applications. So to speak to sort of next gen, Sean, on this is they've got these iPads that are basically set up with augmented reality. So virtual reality is it's an immersive experience. You can't really see the physical world. Augmented reality is you can see the real world everywhere. There's just layers of cool things, information, things you couldn't see otherwise in the visor. Microsoft HoloLens is augmented reality. Google Glass would have been augmented reality. So the application that they had was for the operating room. So they're operating on somebody's arm, and it was a very complex operation. They would take the iPad on the stand and put it over their arm, and with augmented reality, they could see where the veins were, the blood, all these things they couldn't see to the human eye.
Wow.
And they were just able to, and then on top of that, you could hit a button and VR in a specialist. You might be like, oh, I'm not sure like what's going on here, which you never want to hear from the doctor, but in case you did, boom, and here's like the top person in their field. They were on standby, and they could see what's going on and say to you, oh, you're missing it. It's over here. Have you tried this, or have you thought of this? And so when you get beyond the sort of like the stuff you were talking about, which is valid, the tours and what I can see and what I can do, but when you actually can add on to and add tools that you couldn't do before. The story we saw, and everybody can see this on the TED Talk, if you go and look at the Microsoft HoloLens demo, which I was in the room for, to see them, it was amazing to see them teleport someone in through HoloLens, which was amazing. The person wasn't in the physical room, and they were both standing there talking to one another. It's what they did next. They took all the black and white and color pictures they have from the rovers in Mars, and they took all this information, but a 3D topographic map of it. And they're able, as astronauts at NASA and the military, to go onto Mars and see areas that you could just. So it's not even the stuff that you can tour and see. It's these applications where we don't even realize what it's like to walk, to do art in 3 dimensions. Imagine being able to paint in 3 dimensions like that or something. It's crazy. So
I did remember seeing a really amazing demo of not only being able to see the augmented reality of a heart, because you're looking down at the heart, but you're not seeing the 360 of the heart, and they were able to digitally image the heart and see the 360 and move it around and see where the flaws and so on were. But there it is in front of them as opposed to down in front of them. And so the decisions of how they were going to approach the operation were done entirely differently, because they did MRI that created this model.
Right.
And even being able to take that in a 3D print job and print it out and then look at it and say, wow, okay, we can do this, we can do that, we can do the other thing.
But
I
people
love
think also,
my world of tech.
well, people also think it's like the most antisocial technology, and that's not true either. It's when you have that experience, it's very human, especially when you're in there with someone else and how they guide and how you talk to one another and help one another. It's actually more social, I think, than this. It's warmer than this. It's warmer than being friends on Facebook. And that's the other part of it that people sort of think like, oh, I'm going to be like, it's going to be like Wall-E, where it's just going to be a bunch of sloths in their room with their masks on, never leaving home. You're just going to all become 9,000 pounds. It might, and I think there's going to be a massive obesity challenge as this stuff gets better and better, because people will not want to leave the experience. I don't disagree with that. Again, that's very salient, actually. But it's hyper-social. That's the other thing I just want people to know is the experiences I had, whether it was the field trip or doing the Void or even Google Glass and connecting with people on those platforms. It's hyper-social as well. Don't dismiss that.
Well, and I've always said that one of the greatest things one of the key reasons I've gone to social media camp every year since 2010, other than being voluntold for stuff over the last 4 or 5 years, is
keep
the
showing
in real
up.
life experience. Yeah, I know. It's the in real life experience. Now, do you see that in real life experience, that IRL experience, changing because of things like VR?
Yeah, we're human beings. One of the fascinating areas of trends and studies that I'm interested in is cities and how they evolve and urban planning, which is like a nerdy thing I like. I'm a very urban guy. I'm actually not a camping guy. I like cities and concrete and air conditioning and Wi-Fi. And so because of that, I'm fascinated with the fact that with all of this vast land we have, especially here in Canada, that we all congregate along the border to these very big cities. And there's a reason for that. It's because we do want to be together. We ultimately do want to be amongst people.
We are social people.
We are social people. And I'm also looking online. I see that Angela was saying that my comments about future VR are inspiring. Thank you. And as an extension of work as a technical writer, I envision writing technical scripts for pre-recorded demonstrations. Angela, I would take that even further and say what's going to happen is you are going to actually physically teach the person in a 3D environment, and you're going to walk them through in a 3D way, much in the same way you walk through a showroom and show someone a car. Well, that's more the things that I'm seeing. The training component of it, that's probably right now the fastest growing area of VR and AR for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Just gaming too.
just in case we didn't think we were dinosaurs, Sean, for not knowing Snapchat that well. It's been proven we're dinosaurs for not being
no one does this
on VR.
Time is right.
Well, no, I'm not a dinosaur because I get it, I understand it,
Yeah.
I can see the value of it. I just can't afford it.
No, but you can Google Cardboard, right? You can get this free thing, slide your phone in, and just play.
And Joel went out and picked up a I don't know if it was an Oculus or not, but he actually picked up the VR device. It was a Samsung Gear because he slid his phone into it, and he was able to, he downloaded Warcraft Legacies VR world, and suddenly he's immersed inside Warcraft's digital environment. And he goes, well, this is interesting. Okay, I'm flying on the bird. He turned around and he went, holy crap, look at the mountains.
Yeah.
So, there was the immersion into it, which is kind of why I like the idea, the concept behind something like Omni, where the person is physically involved in the game as much as just simply playing the game.
Yeah, think about Minecraft. And there's actually a viral video right now on Facebook where it's fully immersive, where it's like between two massive buildings, and there's like a plank of wood, and there's a little cat, and they want you to go get the cat, and people won't do it.
Yeah, because
it's virtual reality. The feeling is that I'm going to fall off and die here, even though they're completely in an environment where they just have to walk forward, pick up the cat, and it's just vision. It's goggles. There's nothing there. It's very
mind trick.
When Microsoft did the demo with Minecraft on the table, where they built the world on the table, I showed that to my 10-year-old son, and he was like,
"Wow, take that now."
Mine too. Well, and I mean, I look at the games room, and the games room we have here is very comfortable, and there's the 32-inch monitors and all the consoles and all the stuff, and all I see sitting in those things are these little round bodies that I need to get outside.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's
getting them up and involved in the game, because they're all playing these first-person oriented games. So to be the first person who's actually physically moving through the game, I could see that being something. If I could afford it right now, that would be.
Well, it's not ready for it's not ready for that, but the stuff is becoming more and more accessible. And it's a different experience. The football stuff that I saw from Microsoft HoloLens and NFL's. You're watching the game on your screen, but like out of the wall comes the football player who's up next. Like, literally blast through the wall, the bricks go everywhere. He's there, and it's like, raw, and you're like, what are they doing? What's in the living room? It's pretty. So that again, you think about all the adjunct things you can do. That's really where the excitement comes. And we're always going to complain that we have technology that makes us sloppy. It's just human nature.
One day somebody's going to be in the middle of a virtual reality game and something's going to go wrong, and they're going to complain like, "What's going on here? I want my money back." Kind of like we do, when our airplanes are late or some other technology fails us.
The famous Louis C.K. skit, right? It's complaining that the Wi-Fi is bad on the plane.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Anyway, we should let Mitch go. Thank you so much for joining us on Blab. And for those of you who are watching this in replay, we do this every couple of weeks leading up to Social Media Camp, and thereafter we bring on cool speakers like Mitch Joel, and we welcome you to join us. We also publish them on YouTube on our YouTube channel, and you can find us also on our podcast, Social Media Camp Podcast. So thanks very much to Mitch Joel, and I think it's fair to say that we're all super excited to see you in Victoria, May 5th to 7th for Social Media Camp. So thanks again.
Love British Columbia. Love Victoria. Can't wait to see you guys.
I'm looking forward to that VR conversation in Speaker Lounge.
We'll see. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.